Good morning, Acharya. Om Namah Shivaya.
ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भाम्
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् परम्पराम् ॐ सहना भवतु सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु ॐ शान्ति 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 Om Tat Sat, Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Tat Sat.
So we are on the 8th verse of 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We will chant Shri Bhagavanu Vacha
Bhagavanuvacha
Shariram Yadavapnoti
शरीरं यदवाप्नोति
यदवाप्नोति
Yachapyutkramati
यच्चाप्युत्क्रामतीश्वरः
Grahitvaitani Sanyadi
गृहीत्वैतानि
गृहीत्वैतानि
संयाति
संयाति
Vayurgandhani Vashayat.
वायुर्गन्धानि
आयुर्गन्धानि
वाशयात्
वाशयात्.
So the Jiva's journey is being commented upon. Ishvaraha. So here remember Ishvara is the Jiva. Okay, so Ishvara is the Jiva who is not different from the Ishvara. So Ishvaraha yat utkramati. When Ishvaraha leaves the body, when the Jiva leaves the body, utkramati, leaving, yat cha api avapnoti shariram. Avapnoti shariram. When does he leave the body? He leaves the body in search of another body, to acquire another body. Therefore, when he acquires another body, sanyati etani grihitva. Sanyati means he is leaving. Etani grihitva, he is holding on to these etani organs, other organs, sense organs. And there is a imagery given. Vayu ivaha gandhan ashayat. Just as the wind carries along the fragrance from one place to another. As from one place, it has fragrance, it takes fragrance and goes along. So, in the same way, this Jiva, when he leaves, the Jiva is the wind. The Jiva wind takes along the sense organs fragrance from one body to another body. So, Shankara writes in the beginning, Kasmin Kale, when does the Jiva pull the Indriyas from the current body? So he says, when Ishvara leaves the body, like here Jiva is Ishvara only, when he leaves the body, right? Then there is a, because the word Ishvara is used, there is a possibility of misunderstanding. And so you can expect a question. Why are you saying that when Ishvara leaves the body? The question is, how can this Sarvagata Ishvara, how can the all-pervading Ishvara travel? Right? Shankara says here, in this verse, you should take Ishvara as he uses a very nice phrase. Dehadi Sanghata Swami Jivaha. Can you understand? Dehadi Sanghataha, the body-mind complex. Swami, the master of that body-mind complex. Jivaha, that Jiva is the Ishvaraha. So how do you understand? Ishvara alone is in the form of the Jiva because it is that same Ishvara who is being reflected in the individual body-mind complex. The problem is that because it is Vyashti reflection, the Jiva is finite and has not got full knowledge. And why Master? Why he says Swami? Because Jiva is the Lord of the individual body. That same Ishvara reflected as the Jiva is the Swami, the Lord of the individual body. Swami in the sense that because of that Swami only, the body is alive. Therefore, Ishvara is Sharirasya Swami, the Lord of the body. And when this Ishvara Jiva leaves, Utkramati, when does he leave? Prarabdha Kala Avasani. When the Prarabdha karma ends, Avasane ends, Tada. So Shankara says, when the Prarabdha ends, at that point of time, Karshati. You have to go back and see the last sloka. He drags the body and the subtle body, the indriyas and the mind along. Then, Shariram Yadvapnoti is basically taking up another body. So, when does he leave? When karma is over, prarabdha karma is over, and he's on his way to getting another body. So, he takes another body, which can be lower body, medium body, upper body, higher body. So, uttama, madhyama, adhama, depending on what sort of fresh prarabdha is being fructifying. Right. So remember that when you say that this jiva is leaving and is acquiring another body, we do not accept the theory of evolution, Darwin's theory of evolution, which says that evolution is always in a one line. We see it's not necessary. It need not be that you will evolve from lower form to higher form, because Darwin didn't know about karma, so he didn't consider. But in our scripture, we say evolution can be either way. You go up for better karma, you get better bodies. You can go down back again if the karma is not good enough. And therefore, karma is dependent upon the karta, and you are the karta. Therefore, who determines your next janma? You alone. Okay. Of course, we are Vedantic students, and Krishna has given us a guarantee that we will never take another janma, lower janma. Where did he give the guarantee?
Chapter 6.
Okay. So, when the jiva takes another body, there have been questions asked in the past. Okay. Jiva takes another body, right? What is the time frame between the jiva leaving this body and the jiva acquiring another body? Does he wander around in space for maybe 5 minutes, 5 years, 500 years, 5,000 years before the next body is given? What is the answer?
We don't know about that.
We don't know exactly.
No, we have discussed this earlier.
Jal Sharira?
Jal Shariram. When is Jal Shariram handed over?
Temporary.
That I don't remember, but I remember the name.
Jal Shariram, the next body, is handed over in a very minute form at the very time that you return the current body to Agni Devata. So that is the significance of our cremation. When you are returning the body to Agni Devata, physical body, this physical body, he takes your dead physical body but hands over to a very minute one, very basic body in return. So the jiva, the moment he leaves this physical body, he is carrying along with him his minute physical body. And we have talked about this. This minute physical body goes through very many processing centers. What are they? You forgot. Swarga, Megha, Prithvi, Purushaha, Nari. There are these 5 processing centers. And Jiva has to go through these processing centers before emerging as a full-fledged body from the body of Nari, the mother. Right? Now, the time interval between leaving the physical body and acquiring another physical body is zero. Because he leaves the physical body as while acquiring the new one in a very minute form. Okay. But the time interval between leaving this physical body and reappearing in another physical body, fully fleshed physical body, that, Shastra says, why do you ask? Right? Time is meaningless. Once Jiva quits this physical body, he is traveling in other worlds. And therefore, the time frame of this world, of this Prithvi, is not applicable in other lokas. And therefore, the question of when is a question which cannot be answered. So you cannot know when the jiva will be reborn, whether at all in this world or another world. And that is why you cannot answer this question. If the jiva is reborn in another world, let's say in Swarga, then the completely different time scale over there. And supposing he has to exhaust prarabdha in Swarga and then be reborn again in another loka or maybe in this loka, how do you say what is the time scale? And therefore, you should not ask when the jiva will be born again in this world. Okay, that was a side subject. Okay, let's come back to this. Etani grihitva. Etani means the indriyani and the mana, the sense organs and the mind. Grihitva, he takes along, he grips them and takes them along. So he's taking along all the indriyas and the antakaranam from the previous body. And what is he supposed to do? He has to place them in the respective golakam in the new body. So Chakshu Indriyam must go to Chakshu Golakam. Shrotra Indriyam must go to Shrotra Golakam and so on. And Sanyati. Sanyati is, you can say it as Sanyak. The word can be split as Sanyak Yati. Properly traveling. Proper here being with a purpose. So the travel is for a purpose. Right? And again, we should note here that what determines this travel? Does the free will determine or does the prarabdha determine? Because the moment he has got a new body, he has got prarabdha, right? Can you say that during this travel, he will exercise free will to say that I don't want to go to Prithvi Loka, I want to go to Brahma Loka?
Free will
Decided.
cannot be applicable here.
Please come again.
Acharya ji, free will not be applicable here in the Jalam Sharira.
When is free will applicable?
We learned that only when in a human form,
Correct.
the
Free will is available only in a physical human form. Sthula Manushya Sharira.
But free will is exercised, but you said that it is available, but it is the capacity to exercise.
Available, I'm saying when I say available, I mean that only in a physical body, physical human body, can that free will be exercised. It's not that it is not there. Every jiva has got free will. But it's only the physical body which allows the manifestation of that free will. Physical human body. Sthula Manushya Sharira. And therefore, in this Jala Shariram, while he is traveling, the travel is not decided by him. And that is why they talk about guides and devatas and all that. Right? In the Shastras, they talk about the guides coming to take him from one loka to another loka. Right? And then an example is given. Vayuhu Gandhan Eva Avashya. The invisible Jiva Vayu, Jiva wind, carries the invisible Gandha, the fragrance, which is the mind and sense organs, leaving the Sthula Shariram behind and travels. So in this example, though it's not given, what should be the Sthula Shariram equated to? The jiva is vayu. The fragrance is subtle body. What is left behind? The sthula shariram. What should it be equated to? Look at the example. And that's what he means by ashaya. Ashaya is the source. The source of
The
the mind.
objects,
Sorry?
the Vishayas, the objects are left behind.
We are talking about the example has two parts. One is jiva carrying the mind and sense organs and traveling. It is compared to the wind carrying the fragrance and traveling. So I am comparing the jiva with the wind, the fragrance with the mind and the sense organs. Ashayat, what is the source?
Flower?
Panchamahabhut.
The flower. The
Exactly.
flower.
So the wind carries where is the source of the fragrance? The flower. Where is the source of the mana indriya? It is the sthula sarira. So this kind of analysis you need to do. Okay. Right. Now we will go to the next verse. Shrotram chakshusparshanam cha
Shrodram
Chakshusparshanam cha
rasanam ghranameva cha
Rasanam
Rasanam
Ghranameva
Ghranameva cha
adhisthaya manaschayam
Adhisthaya Manaschayam
vishayanupasevate.
Vishayan Sevate.
Okay, so adhisthaya. Adhisthaya means with the support. The jiva is traveling. With what support? Adhisthaya of what? Srotram, the ears, chakshu, the eyes, sparshanam, the skin, rasanam, and grana. Right? All the 5 sense organs are named. And manaha, and the mind. So this jiva, ayam vishayan upasevate, tastes or experiences the sense objects with what? Adhisthaya, with the help of the 5 sense organs. Right. Now, here, why does he say this? He's explaining why the jiva is carrying all these things along. Why does the jiva just not go away? Why is he going and trekking all the sense organs along with him? Etani. Etani was the sense organs in the previous, what do you call it, sloka. So here he's explaining why is the jiva carrying. So he takes all the sense organs, the indriyas, and places them in the respective kolakams. Right? And all the sense organs have to be coordinated by the mind. Therefore, the mind must also be taken. And the mind's golakam is what? The heart. Therefore, adhisthaya. With the support of the 5 sense organs and the 6th organ, the mind, Vishayan upasevate, the jiva starts experiencing the new sense objects. All experiences of pleasure and pain. Both are possible, remember, because of Chidahabhasa alone. And that's a very important point. In every experience of pleasure or pain, the presence of RC is revealed. RC reveals the presence of OC. Right? Therefore, with every experience that I have, every word that you are listening to, every word that I am talking is all experience of Brahman alone. You don't need separate Brahman experience. And this should be driven deep into your mind, into your subconscious through Nididhyasanam. And I don't need any experience of Brahman because whatever I do as a conscious being, that is Brahman alone. Okay, now we go to the 10th verse. We will chant. Please unmute yourself. उत्क्रामन्तं स्थितं वापि
स्थितं वापि
भुञ्जानं वा गुणान्वितं
भुञ्जानं वा गुणान्वितं
विमूढानानुपश्यन्ति
मूढानानुपश्यन्ति
पश्यन्ति ज्ञानचक्षुषः.
पश्यन्ति
ज्ञानचक्षुषः
So vimudaha. So he is not talking about a normal muda. Muda is visheshena muda, specially ignorant fellow. Vimudaha anupashyanti, that completely ignorant, specifically ignorant fellow, he does not recognize that person, Kramantam, that Ishvara who is living the body. And Sthitham va api, also it is the same Ishvara who is Sthitam. He resides in that body. It is the same Ishvara, Unjanam va, who experiences objects, Gunanvitam, Guna Anvitam. It is the same Ishvara who has endowed with gunas, but who will recognize Pashyanti Jnana Chakshushaha? Only the people who have the knowledge given by the Veda, given by the Shastra, they alone can recognize the Ishvara. So, Sthitam va api. So, Dehe Tishthantam api says Shankaracharya. Even when the Jiva is resident in the human body, that is, Jivana Kale, during the time of when you have life, or Utkramantam, living the body which has been acquired earlier at the time of death, Punjanam va, experiencing objects like what? Shabda, Sparsha, Rasa, etc. And Guna Anvitam. Guna Anvitam means experiencing the effects of the gunas. What are the effects of the gunas? Sukhaha, Dukkaha, Mohaha. 3. Corresponding to what? Sattva, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Everything else is a byproduct alone. Right? One small note here. Guna Anvitam. Anvitam literally means endowed. Right? So here Guna is being taken as Sukham, Dukham, Moham, which actually Guna products. So here Guna does not mean the Guna themselves, but the Guna Karyam, the Sukham, Dukham, Moha. That little understanding, please note somewhere. And to understand this verse, let's rearrange the whole verse so that it comes sequentially, chronologically in this journey of your life. So Sthitam means I, the Jiva, I Ishvara, am in the body. What do I do? Guna Anvitam Bhunjanam. I experience all emotions, events, everything. Then what happens? Utkramantam. I leave the body. When the Prarabdha karma is over, I leave the body. Right? The idea is what? That I have RC. And because I have RC, I should be aware of OC. I should know that I'm Ishvara throughout my life. Then, even though this Ishvara is present in my body as the resident of the body, as the experiencer of all emotions, this Atma, which is in the body, you can think of it as OC enclosed in the mind. What is it called?
Sakshi.
Sakshi
Sakshi Chaitanyam. So remember to always distinguish between, because it's a very common mistake to say that OC in the body is RC. Right? OC in the body is not RC. What is RC?
Chidabhasa.
Chidabhasa
Chidabhasa.
the reflected
The reflecting medium is the mind and the body. What is it reflecting?
OC.
OC
No.
No.
Mind.
It is reflecting Sakshi Chaitanya.
Okay.
Remember
Okay,
that
we
there is
should use
Sakshi
the word
Chaitanya.
Sakshi Chaitanya. Yeah.
Yes. Sakshi Chaitanyam is the OC which is enclosed in the mind. It's a very important idea.
Ah, yes, yes.
That OC enclosed in mind is Sakshi Chaitanya. You can recognize yourself quite easily as Sakshi Chaitanya. But to make the leap from there to all pervading OC, that's quite a leap. Okay. So you have to first come to this enclosed consciousness. Once you have understood yourself as the enclosed consciousness, which is called Sakshi Chaitanya, know that this body, this mind and body is reflecting Sakshi Chaitanya. Once that idea is completely soaked in your subconscious, then you can simply say, this Sakshi Chaitanya, when the body and mind is gone, what is the Sakshi Chaitanya?
That all-pervading.
It is nothing but the all-pervading Brahman. It's just like the idea of pot space, right? It's easy to recognize a pot space, and the pot space is useful. Why? Because you can fill water in the pot. You can say the pot space is not different from Maha from total space, but you can't fill water in the total space. So transactionally, it is a pot space which is important. Transactionally, it is OC. It is not OC which is important for you. Transactionally, it is Sakshi Chaitanyam is important. It is only because of Sakshi Chaitanyam that your mind is functional. Because of Sakshi, not because of OC. While OC and Sakshi are the same, OC is of no use to us for purposes of jnana. The Sakshi Chaitanyam, which enables the transaction of the mind being functional, which enables you to come to class, which enables you to understand and ask questions. It is the reflection of the Sakshi Chaitanyam in the mind, that RC, that Chidabhasa, which is doing this. Therefore, Sakshi Chaitanyam is very important for you as an enabler. And that's why Sakshi is very useful. Never say that Sakshi is, different from the OC, but always be aware that it is not the OC, it is not Brahman, which is enabling the transaction. It is the enclosure which makes it transaction possible. Am I making sense?
Yes, yes, Sachin.
It's a very, very important idea. Right? So he says that even though this Atma is present in the body all the time as the resident of the body and therefore experiencing all the emotions, but only this Sakshi Chaitanyam is available for you for immediate perception. Right? OC is not available. So if you can say that Samashti Ishvara or Samashti Chaitanyam, the OC, is finally available in the body, yes. But what is perceivable? It is only the Sakshi Chaitanyam which you can understand. And therefore, this Sakshi Chaitanyam is available in your body for you to understand that this consciousness principle is there. But as enclosed in my body. What is the difference? The consciousness which I am aware of is the consciousness in my body. I am not aware of the consciousness in your body. You see the difference? The Sakshi I am aware of. This is the consciousness in my mind. I cannot possibly be aware of the consciousness in your mind. Just like the pot space of the one pot is different from the pot space of another pot. The water I fill in my pot space will not fill up the water in your pot space. That distinction is important over here, transactionally, right? Vyavaharika only. Once you understand, then you can say, okay, fine, but there really is no difference. It's a seeming difference caused by the pots. It's a seeming difference caused by the different minds. Once the minds are gone, then alone Sakshi and OC are the same. But the minds will never be gone in this Vyavaharika. And therefore, for all Vyavaharika transactions, Sakshi is very important. And therefore, Vimudha, those who are, and Shankara gives a very nice meaning to Vimudha over here. He says Vimudha is people who are confused in multiple ways. And what are the multiple ways? They are obsessed with the pleasures of this world and the pleasures of the next world. In short, there is no Vairagyam. Remember that this idea was there in Tattvabodha. What was Viragaha? Iha Swarga Bhogeshu Icharahityam. Absence of longing for pleasures in this world and the next. That Shankara borrows in his explanation of Vimudha. He says people are deluded in many ways, confused in many ways. They want pleasures in this object and in this world and in the next world. And because those pleasures are very strong, he says this fellow has a mind which is not refined, uncultivated mind. And in that uncultivated mind, in that non-refined mind, na anupashyanti. He cannot possibly see the presence of the Lord. And then Shankara goes into a little bit of a lament. He says, Aho kashtam vartate. Oh, what a terrible tragedy. Who is crying? Not Shankara. He says, in this way, for one thing, the jiva is, crying. Because this jiva, who is actually Ishvara, he is not able to see the presence of the Lord because of his obsession with pleasures in this world and the next world. Therefore, aho kashtam vartate, he cries, what a terrible tragedy. And since Jiva is not different from Ishvara, when Jiva cries, what is he doing? He is making Ishvara also cry. But on the other hand, if you have come to Shastram, what happens? Pramana Janita Jnana Chakshushaha. The eye of wisdom, Jnana Chakshushaha. How was it born? Pramana Janita. From the Shastram itself. The one who has that eye, that knowledge, born out of the Shastric knowledge, that born out of Atma Jnanam, that is your third eye. Right? Lord Shiva's third eye represents that knowledge, that eye of wisdom. From that eye of wisdom, from that third eye born out of Shastra, when he opens his eyes, what happens? He sees the Lord everywhere. Right? When you know physics, behind the moving fan, you know that behind the fan which is visible to you, you know that there is invisible electricity. How do you know? Because physics has taught you that fan will not move by itself. And therefore, this person who looks at the RC after getting jnana knows that behind that RC there has to be a OC. And this is what he means by Pashyanti. Te enam Pashyanti. He knows the Lord in this manner. Behind everything, behind every RC, there is a OC he knows. Okay. Now we go to the next
Sir, can I
verse.
ask a question?
Yes, please.
So just to clarify, actually, so what it is that RC is the jiva and OC is the enclosed
No.
OC body in the body mind complex, which is
No.
Yes, I haven't understood.
OC is Brahma.
Brahman, okay.
All encompassing consciousness.
Enclosed.
Enclosed consciousness. No,
is
enclosed
Sakshi.
consciousness is Sakshi.
Okay, so 3 levels. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. Now we look at verse number 11. We will chant. Yatanto yoginaschainam
Yatanto
Yatanto
yoginaschainam
yoginashchainam
पश्यन्त्यात्मन्यवस्थितम्
पश्यन्त्यात्मन्यवस्थितम्
वितन्तोऽप्यकृतात्मानः
यतन्तोऽप्यकृतात्मानः
नैनं पश्यन्त चेतसः
नैनं
नैनं
पश्यन्ति
पश्यन्त
चेतसः
चेतसः
So, yatantaha yoginaha cha. So that you have to break up. Yatantaha yoginaha cha enam pasyanti akritatmanaha enam api yatantaha. So, yatantaha yoginaha, the yogis who have making the necessary effort. I'm again muting all of you all because the sound of breathing is coming in. It will be available in the recording otherwise. Okay. So once you have been finished speaking or finished chanting, please mute yourself. So yoginaha yatantaha cha, those yogis who are making the necessary efforts, what did they do? What do they do? Enam atmani avasthitam pashyanti. Enam pashyati. They find him. Where? Atmani avasthitam. Present in this body itself. On the other hand, akritatmanaha, the ones who don't make the effort, the ones whose minds are not refined, which is achetasaha, indiscriminate ones, unrefined minds. Na pashyanti enam, will not find him, will not see him. Apiyatantaha, even though make their efforts. So there are two types of people who make efforts. One is the yogi, who has refined his mind, who has got chitta shuddhi. One is the Ajnani, who has not refined his mind, who has not karma yoga and karma yoga, who has not done upasana yoga. His mind is not refined. There is no chitta shuddhi. Both can make efforts, but one will find him and one will not find him. So two types of seekers are being discussed, right? Yatantaha is the person who has done Shravanam, Mananam, Nidhyasanam. Those who have studied the scriptures very carefully. And Yoginaha is, Shankara writes, Samahita Chittaha, the one who has got Chitta Samadhana. The Chitta Samadhanam here is the same as the Chitta Ekagrata of Tattva. What does Chitta Ekagrata do for you? What is the whole point of having sadhana chatushta sampatti, where Chitta Samadhanam or Chitta Ekagrata is one of your qualifications? What is the point of that?
You're able to focus.
You are able to focus. In other words, remember that in the mind, there are two types of thoughts. One is deliberate thoughts, which you entertain, which you are focusing on a subject and the thoughts are coming. And one is involuntary thoughts due to the nature of your mind and the environment in which you live in, which are creeping in from outside. So there are always involuntary thoughts and voluntary thoughts. When you are focused in some activity, when your mind is focused, because the mind is focused, the involuntary thoughts are kept away. They don't normally enter. But when you are not engaged in deliberate activity, deliberate mental activity, remember that involuntary thoughts can enter. Fear, anxiety, worry, all these thoughts can enter. And therefore, the chitta ekagrata is the capacity to handle the involuntary thoughts without letting them disturb you. Right? And that is what he's talking about. This person has got chitta ekagrata. He is able to handle involuntary thoughts also, and he is able to focus on the teaching also. Enam pashyanti such a disciplined person, disciplined seeker, he will recognize this Ishvara who is present in this body as Jiva. He will have Jiva Brahma Aikya. Right? And Pashyanti here, Shankara writes, Pashyanti has to be very carefully understood. Shankara writes, Pashyanti is not sees. Pashyanti is not perceives. Pashyanti is not experienced. Shankara says, I am aham asmi. Iti upalabhante. This is the way that you should recognize. Upalabhante, to recognize. You have to recognize that Ishvara, that Brahman as what? I am aham asmi. I am that aham. That is called Pashyanti. It is not that you are recognizing another entity in your body. You are recognizing that that Sakshi Chaitanyam, which you are able to perceive, is nothing but you yourself. I am that Sakshi. It's a very important idea. I am Sakshi Chaitanya. Not that I have a Sakshi Chaitanya. I am that Sakshi Chaitanya. I am that Atma, that enclosed consciousness in the mind. Once you have done that, and where do you recognize Atmani? In your own mind, in your own intellect. And how do you recognize, Shankaracharya adds, Atmani avastitam. This Sakshi Chaitanyam is there in my own mind, is residing in my mind. As what? In the form of, I recognize it as the RC, but then I say that RC is reflected because of Sakshi. The Sakshi is available, Sakshi is resident in the mind. I recognize it as consciousness. But it is because of that Sakshi that there is RC in the body-mind complex. It is because of the RC that I am able to function. This is the recognition that the person who has studied Vedanta does. On the other hand, yatanto apihi akritat manaha. Akritat manaha is the one who does not have sadhana chatushta sampatti. And therefore, he is achetasaha. Achetasaha means without a discriminatory intellect. And Shankara says, such a person, yatanto api, even if he is making the necessary effort, even if he has come to a teacher, even if he is studying Shastra, he will not be able to recognize that Ishvara as himself. And Shankara gives a little bit more definition of a person who is akritatmana. He says, this person, tapasa indriya jayena cha. Now, he has not refined his sense organs, tapasa. He has not refined himself to tapas. And indriya ajayena cha. He has no control over the sense organs. Indriya jayena. Indriya jayam means victory over the indriyas. But this person, he doesn't have, right? Indriya ajayena cha. He's not got control over the sense organs. And therefore, he has not stopped bad conduct. So he says, dushcharitat anuparataha. He has not stopped bad conduct. And he is ashanta darpaha. He is ashantaha. He is not peaceful. His mind is not peaceful. Darpaha. He is full of pride. Such a person, enam na pashanti. They will never recognize Ishvara in their hearts. Apiyatantaha. Even if they study the scriptures, if the mind is not pure, the scriptural study will remain as an academic exercise. It will remain as information. It will not fructify into Atmajnana. There is information which has not matured into transformation. On the other hand, such a person, what will happen? For him, the ahankara is strengthened because he will be able to say that, oh, look at me, I have studied Prakarana Granthas, I have studied Bhagavad Gita, I've studied Upanishads, I've studied Brahma Sutras. I'm such a great person, right? So intellectual arrogance will be the result for a person who doesn't have Chitta Shuddhi. Any questions so far? Okay. Now we go on to the next verse. This is 12th verse. We will chant. यदा यदा यदादित्यगतं तेजः
यदादित्यगतं
यदादित्यगतं
तेजः
जगद्भासयतेऽखिलम्
जगद्भासयतेऽखिलम्
यच्छन्द्रमसि यच्छाग्नौ
यच्चन्द्रमसि यच्चाग्नौ
तत्तेजो विद्धि मामकम्.
तत्तेजो विद्धि मामकम्.
So, tejaha adityagatam yad bhasayate. So you have to break up the words properly. Yat tejaha adityagatam bhasate. That radiance in the sun, which bhasayate, which reveals, which illumines, akhilam jagataha. So jagat bhasayate akhilam. So the break up the last word of the first line. That radiance in the sun, that brightness of the sun, which reveals Akhilam Jagat, the entire universe, and not only that, Yat Chandramasi Chayat Agnau, that radiance which is in the Chandra, which is in the moon, and also Agnau, which is in the fire. Right? So he's talking about three types, three origins of brightness. One is the sun, and that sun is so strong that it illumines the entire universe. One is radiance in the moon, brightness in the moon, and one brightness in the fire. So he says, don't think that this belongs to the sun or the moon or the fire. What should you say? Vidhi tat tejaha mamakam. Vidhi, you should understand that tat tejaha, that brilliance, that brightness, mamakam, it belongs to me and me alone. So Shankara gives a good introduction to this verse. He is summarizing the teaching so far. So he says, Yat Padam, that Brahman, Padam here is Brahman, that Brahman, Sarvasya Avabhasakam Api, which is the revealer of everything. Sarvasya Avabhasakam, revealer of everything. And Agnyadi Adikam Jyotihi na Avabhasyate. Right? It cannot be Agnyadi Aditya Adikam Jyotihi na Avabhasate. Cannot be revealed by any other light. Na Avabhasate. Which Avabhasate you have to connect to Padam. That Brahman, which number one reveals everything. And number two, Avabhasayate cannot be revealed by any other light. Jyotihi, any other light, like what? Agni Aditya Adi. Like any cannot be revealed by any other source of light like Agni or the sun or anything. It's a summary of the teaching. Yat praptascha, having understood that I am that Brahman, mumukshahu punaha samsaraha abhimukha nanivartante. The mumukshu does not again return to samsara, which means he gets moksha. He gets moksha. Right? So all jivas, he says, are seemingly parts of that Brahman. It's very, very nice little, idea over here. Yasya cha padasya upadi bhedam anuvidhiyamanaha jivaha amsaha. All jivas seem to be part of that Brahman. Why? Upadhi Bhedam, because they are all seemingly enclosed in different containers. Right? Upadhis are different bodies, different container bodies. You find that these jivas are seemingly enclosed. But Upadhi Bhedam Anuvidhiyamana. Why do you find that? Because you are falsely taking on the attributes of the Upadhis. You are actually Nirguna Jiva, but Anuvidhiyamana. You have taken on the attribute of the Upadhis. Right? So you, the Jiva, the attributeless consciousness, have taken upon yourself the attributes of the container. The content has taken upon itself the attribute of the container. That is why you say pot space. Why do you say pot space? Because the content is Mahaakasa actually, the overall space. But the attribute of the container, the pot, you have taken on, and therefore now you call yourself as space in the pot. Right? Similarly, you have to understand that there is no difference between the Jivatma and the Paramatma. There is no difference between Sakshi Chaitanyam and all-pervading Brahma. It is that all-pervading Brahma which appears as everything. Now, Sakshi Chaitanyam is actually the reason why you have RC. Right? But what is Sakshi Chaitanyam? It is nothing but Sarvagata Brahman. And therefore, Brahman alone is the basis for all the transactions in this world. How? Because it serves as the light of consciousness. Consciousness is the medium for all transactions. Right? But I have very many ideas about it. I say RC, I say Sakshi Chaitanyam, I say Brahman. And therefore, to reveal this Brahman, says Shankaracharya, the Lord is giving the next four slokas to make us understand what is this Brahman. And therefore, yadadittyagatam tejaha jagata bhasyate akhila. That which is located, that consciousness which is located in Aditya. And therefore, that light which reveals the whole universe, right? That light is not different from the light in the Chandraha. And Shankara gives a very nice little analogy here. He calls Chandra as Shashabhrati. Shashabhrati means the one who holds the rabbit. So we have seen this idea before. If you look at the moon, sometimes you can see a patch on the moon which looks like a rabbit. Right? So Shankara says that moon also, the light on the moon is not different from the light on the sun. The light of the sun is not different from that consciousness which I am. Right? So yet Chandramasi, that reflected light of the moon. The moon doesn't have its own light. It is only light of the sun. And the sun is what? 93 million miles away from us. And the moon is how far? 240,000 miles away. And yet, with that reflected light of the moon, even if power has gone, electricity supply has failed, there's a blackout. You can still walk in the city if the moon is shining. Right? So he says that kind of power is there in the moon and the sun. What about the power which I have? So Vidditat Teja Mamakam. May you know all these as my power. And which is why we say that Virusura Namaskara. The moment our day begins with the worship of the sun. So here Surya is taken as Surya Mandalam, right? The light giving body. That is the one interpretation. And Shankara writes in his commentary, you can also take Surya Devata as the second interpretation. So he says, therefore, that Adityagatam Tejaha can be taken as the consciousness in the Aditya Devata. So you can take it as the light of the sun, the body, right? The Golakam. The sun is the planet or the physical body. You can take that as one interpretation, or you can take the Devata as a second interpretation. And whichever interpretation you take, he says, what is the final meaning? Everything I alone am. As long as you understand that I alone am Brahman and Brahman alone is the entire universe, you have understood correctly. So you can have a question, right? You can say that the light in the sun is very strong and the light in the moon is not so strong. How do you say light is the same? You get the question. The light of the sun is very strong. It can burn you, as we know now. We are in May, right? The light of the moon is very cool. How do you say the light is the same? What is the answer?
The RM,
Mm.
the reflected.
Upadi Bheda, can we say that?
Upadhi Veda alone. Consciousness itself has no gradation, right? But the Upadhis have a gradation. And while consciousness itself is the uniform everywhere, samam everywhere, the manifestation of the consciousness depends upon the Upadhi. That is why you have bright people, you have dull people, you have plants, you have animals, you have insects. Consciousness is there, the same. You have trees also. So original consciousness, there is no difference. But the reflection is dependent upon the quality of the mirrors, not the original. So in Aditya Devata, the light is very bright because of extreme sattva, right? In Chandra Devata, light is not so bright. So Chidabhasa, the reflection has got gradations. Chit, the original, is uniform, has no gradations at all. So with this, we'll stop for today. Any questions? Okay, thank you for your patience. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience. Om Om.
Thank you.